formulas.
I feel like that title is a little leading. Like
it is very, very leading.
It's like it's like, do you care more about being a healthy product or more about the product actually doing a good job?
That's the debate.
That's
the actual argument. That's the whole debate.
Because can it do both? Because I'm not a super big proponent of vegan-based product necessarily, but healthier. I am a proponent of doing things healthier, but does it have to be vegan to be healthy? I bet you that's going to be a big part of what we talk about.
It doesn't have to be vegan to be healthy, but that's been the buzzword. That's been what everybody's been on about, and everybody's arguing about it, and everybody's going back and forth about it, and it has hit the scene. It has always existed in our industry, especially. It's actually been around forever. It's existed. It just
when you say it, do you mean the vegan part or the healthy part?
Healthy products, vegan lifestyles, all of it has existed. Vegan-based products, healthy-based products, healthy alternatives to performing chemical services or any other services that we provide. Has been in our industry from day one. It just has been overlooked, and it has been categorized as this waste of time thing rather than an actual valuable option, right? The whole thing with vegan became politically charged and started trending about now, 15, 20 years ago. It's been really heavy.
Well, and climbing, yeah.
And climbing, right? So it's weird because now when you say vegan, you can't even say it without discussing some political aspect to it, which it's got nothing to do with politics, but it kind of got.
It shouldn't, but it definitely does.
It shouldn't, but it got thrown into it, and so it like the word itself either turns somebody on, turns somebody off. It definitely confuses everybody. Nobody fully understands what it's about.
well, and I don't, and that I think you get to be the authority more so here today, because in my head, I'm always trying to group things. And to me, it doesn't make sense because I feel like, all right, things I get like good, bad, two big divides, right? Something can be good for you, something can be bad for you, but there is a lot of gray area usually. And then the amount of time, like if we're going to use something that's, I don't know, some solvents, the smells of solvents, hairdressers are notoriously having lung problems because of all the chemicals and things we smell. So that's another area, right? And so sometimes I think, God, is there not a way to use something that's really harsh for a short period of time, and then we heal from it? Because not every single thing can be 100% good for us and our bodies. We're driving around out there, we're breathing good air, bad air, a little better, a little worse, and we heal from it. So sometimes it's like, okay, so we have to use a product that's a little more chemically charged to get this adhesive off the head, So maybe we wear a mask to protect our lungs, or maybe we're a ventilated room, or we don't do it as often. So I'm always thinking of like, God, the level, there's not 100% good or 100. I guess it could be 100% bad. That's when you're dead. But until you're dead, you've got all these percentages of great to not so great. And with the products and the chemicals in them, how do you change the color of hair and be 100% what? Natural, good, non-chemical? Is vegan the answer? I mean, I know
that's where the confusion comes in, because just because you start throwing the words out there and the terminologies out there, it doesn't necessarily mean it's so much better or it's so much worse, like you're saying. One of the biggest issues in all things about what we do behind the chair is ventilation. How the services that we provide, especially the ones that are chemical based, whether it's a perm, hair color, relaxer, keratin smoothing treatment, whatever other service I'm not remembering at the moment, updos, with hairsprays and such, everything is releasing some type of fume to some degree. Some product is getting vaporized and steamed to some effect, and it is evaporating off the client's head for a certain amount of time. If the client is sitting in a well ventilated room and there is fresh air circulating through, the client is okay because the client is only ever in the salon physically about an hour.
And that's what I'm talking about. They breathe a little bit of bad, but then they potentially heal from it, right?
But who you're
We
not
don't get a
talking
chance
about
to, right?
is us standing on top of them, and it's blasting us in the face as we're the ones working on their hair.
One after another.
One after another, and we're the ones that are getting blasted. I cannot wear eye contacts. My eyes are so dry. My tear ducts don't produce enough. I never cry. I don't produce enough liquid, so I have to use the drops. So I don't get enough moisturization and lubrication in my eyeballs.
Yeah.
I cannot smell anymore. I've literally burned out my entire septum, and it's deviated, and whatever. I don't have a sense of smell.
Wow.
I have cotton mouth. I have dry mouth because I'm a mouth breather now. So everything, now all the chemicals and the fumes is going into my mouth. My whole face is a hot mess.
You are dying.
I'm dying,
So, you know what just came to mind while you were saying all this? I'm so sorry. I was in another world thinking, don't most of the chemicals that we use come from plants? Not most, but a lot. When we were saying this, and I was thinking, there's a particular, being a beekeeper, there's a yellow jasmine that some springs blooms more than others. It's toxic and poisonous to bees, but they love it. And so when it blooms big every few years, they go for it early spring, and most of their population dies off until it stops blooming, and then they come back from it. And it's like, well, that's freaking vegan. And then there's the original, when I got big time into sprouts, when I was trying to grow sprouts, like sprouting seeds, what is the original sprout that people would eat? Do you know what? It wasn't Brussels. Anyway, most people eat a sandwich and they'll have some sprouts on it, or just eat sprouts. And RJ will probably put it in the comments here in a minute.
Arugula or something like that?
Well, no. There was a very common, the very first sprout everybody ever used before it was a big popular thing. I'm reading an article one time, and it said, avoid that sprout. It has trace amounts of, I'm not going to name it because I might be wrong, but it was poison. And if you eat too much of that, it's bad for you. There's a lot of good in sprouts, and most other sprouts, I mean, and I don't mean like Brussels sprouts. I mean, when you sprout seeds and they're very small, the concentration of the good vitamins are usually there. But in some cases, some sprouts, the concentration of the bad part of the vegetable is there when it's small, and then it goes away as it gets bigger. And so there's some things we treat for mites and beehives with oxalic acid, but most of your brassicas family, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, has a lot of oxalic acid already in it. I'll say a lot. It has some, and that is a small amount of bad. If you extract that from that vegetable and just inhale or ingest just that, it's terrible for you. So when you say go vegan, it's not like just because you make things out of vegetables and plant life that it's good for you necessarily either.
No, it's not. And so, and there becomes the confusion because they think it's a good connotation behind it with good intention.
Right.
Alfalfa, is that what you're talking about?
That was the original.
Sprout.
That was the original sprout everyone would eat. And I was reading that it's the worst sprout.
Okay. Well, okay, so if you think about it, we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. That is not good for us. We don't like it. It is what we use up. But plants love it, but plants expel oxygen, and we love oxygen. So it's like, it's the circle of life. It's really wild how that works and how there's a balance to everything, When there is vegan-based products, when there is vegan-based technology, when it's it's a healthier way, it's a healthier alternative to producing a similar or as close to same result as what we have been doing before. On some, everybody is different. Some people have more sensitivity than others. Some people just are more conscious than others. And if all things being equal and the same, if I said to you, I can do something for you and I can do it in a healthier way, majority of the time you're going to say, all things being equal, all things being the same, all right, then let's do it. Why not? If there's a more efficient way of doing it or a more safer way or a healthier way of doing it, and it really isn't that big of an investment of time or financial or otherwise, most people are going to go for it.
And I agree, a healthier way, but that doesn't necessarily always mean vegan. But tell me this, because I think a lot of people out there would like to know this part too. Maybe not, but I care. What part of, let's take a particular product. What would you want to talk about? Color, I guess.
Sure. Okay, color's a big one. I mean, 90% of everybody gets color.
Yeah, and the color line that you promote and sell and teach for is all nutrient, right?
Yes.
Are they considered a vegan line or what?
The language is very important.
Okay.
It's certified organic based ingredients with vegan components.
Say that one more time.
Certified organic based ingredients with vegan components.
So you'll drop a tomato in the mix.
So wow, the taste. No, it's
tell me this. So with that mystery, what part of color, like the chemicals that make hair color turn different colors, what are you changing? What chemicals are coming out and what vegetables are being put in, or reword that? You know where I'm trying to go with this.
I know. I understand what you're trying to say. Without going into a full-blown color class, I'll keep it very, very basic and very simple, okay? You need to have something in your hair color to open your hair shaft.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, that's ammonia. That's the primary ingredient. Now, a lot of people get confused. A lot of people think ammonia is a synthetically made chemical. Ammonia is natural, is the most natural freaking ingredient. Our bodies make it. Whatever. It's not a color class. Ammonia is freaking natural. It's not a chemical. If you think it's a chemical, you are completely misinformed and you need a class.
Okay.
With that said, a lot of marketing goes with ammonia free. And ammonia free, primarily the main alternative to using ammonia is MEA, monoethylenamine. That is a synthetic. It's a very heavy synthetic. It is not safer than ammonia. It has been proven 100 times over that it is a misinformation. It is not healthier or safer. It's actually worse than ammonia.
Does it just not smell as bad so people don't notice it's there?
It doesn't smell as bad, and it's supposed to be more controllable during the processing.
That's the story. Because ammonia is obvious from the breathtaking smell. You're like, whoa, I can't breathe for a minute. And so it's very obvious it's there. When you can't breathe, it does feel unhealthy.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it. So that's the one component, is you need something to open the cuticle.
Okay.
Then you need something to develop the color. So that's your peroxide, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. And then you need the actual base of the color to deliver. So it's either liquid or cream primarily. I'm just going to keep it real simple. And that liquid base is pretty straightforward, but a cream base can either be vegetable derived or it could be a petroleum derived, which is a chemical base. Okay. So that's where ingredients start mattering. And then you got the molecules and what is producing the
color pigment, huh?
What's that?
The color pigment or no?
Yeah. But I'm losing my, the language here for a minute. You're removing the artificial pigment. Something has to create the artificial pigment, because when we remove the natural pigment from your hair, we're going to replace it with an artificial dye. So you need something to produce that as well. Is that chemical, or is there healthy?
So what
How
parts?
much healthy versus
What parts?
chemical
What
balance?
parts are we exchanging in there?
So all nutrient, for example, and healthier brands in that vein are going with more of a vegetable derived based compared to in the cream base of the color compared to a petrol base, a chemical base.
Okay.
So it's more gentle onto the scalp when it's applied. It's more conditioning to the hair as it's sitting there processing. It's going to increase the amount of shine, vibrancy, and intensity. You're going to get more depth as well. Further, because you have that vegetable base and it's you're getting better absorption into the hair. You're not tearing apart the cuticle. Because of that conditioning, you're able to take the artificial dye, make it smaller, make it into what we refer to as a micropigment.
So it's going to go deeper into the hair shaft.
So it can go deeper into the hair. So it doesn't have, again, it doesn't have to be as aggressive as a chemical base, because it can absorb and penetrate rather than punch through and tear through, right?
So what other parts?
You can lower the ammonia content. You don't have to have that heavy degree of smell either.
So you listed a bunch of steps along. I don't know if you steps or listed out the things that it takes to make color happen. Any of those other, so you were talking about ammonia as one, being switched out for something worse for a while. So you're saying all nutrient, for example, does use ammonia, but because it's better than a
lowered amount, but it does use ammonia because it's natural.
A natural, because it's natural. But what do you mean? Like, I know I've used the Reichen color gels in the past, and I used to not. I love it because I knew the color, but it would take my breath away sometimes, and I don't know if it's still there with the high ammonia, or at least a high ammonia smell. But what is there a healthier ammonia, a more, because you mentioned the word organic? Is there a more organically derived? Is it cleaner? What's different there in some lines? Why does it smell
hair color in general, whether you're the American or the European system, you either go from level 1 through 10 or 2 through 10. And I'm not going to get into that, but basically it goes on a scale of 1 to 10. The lower your number, the darker your color is. Like, right. I'm a level 1. Yeah, your shirt is a level 1 black or darkest brown, whatever. I'm not getting into that whole freaking debate. And then you get up to level 10 and everybody agrees that's blonde. That's palest yellow.
Mm-hmm. Some would say 11 or 12, but right, again.
11 or 12 are high lift, the natural within, whatever. The natural scale within 1 to 10.
Let's just stay on ammonia for a minute.
Yeah, so as it goes, levels 1 through 5 are focusing more on depositing pigment. So you don't need as much percentage of ammonia in your levels. In level 6 through 10, you're lifting, you're lightening, you're going lighter. So you need a higher level percentage of ammonia to swell and open that cuticle to allow, the oxidation to get in there and to do more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Again, very surface level explanation. I'm not doing it justice at all. But the point is, the industry average now, because this wasn't always the industry average, but currently right now, the industry's average is approximately 2% at the lower level, level 1, and it gradually increases up to 4% at the highest level, level 10.
Of ammonia in the total formula?
In the total formula. So all nutrient, for example, has less than 1% at the lower level 1, and it's at 1.8, 1.9. It's less than 2% at level 10. So it uses half the amount
of the average. So it works half
compared to the industry average.
So it works half as good. I mean, immediately you're saying less ammonia, and you told us what ammonia does earlier. So how?
So now with the technology, so you compensate with the technology because okay, let's say let's go with your thought. Your initial reaction is it takes twice as long, it works half as good, but we're using a vegetable base rather than a petrol base, so we don't have to activate the color as quickly or as long. we are using micropigmentations, so we're not having to create the forceful injection. We're absorbing and we're penetrating deeper into the cortex.
That part logically makes sense. If you can use less ammonia because you don't need to open as much because your molecule is smaller. At least that logically makes sense. Okay.
So it balances out. Everything balances itself out.
So then that's why you wouldn't smell it as much, or is there other reasons?
You don't smell it as much. You don't get that burning sensation in the beginning. Like we used to do hair color. We used to hand people a stir or a second applicator brush, or the tail comb. And you tell them, we'd be popping in packets and packets of Sweet and Low. We'd be doing all kinds of weird stuff beforehand to overcompensate for the burn. And we used to say smart things like, if it ain't burning, it ain't working. Or if it's burning, that's how you know it's working.
What are the other parts of that formula that are changed? Is that the big ones? Less ammonia. You mentioned peroxide. Any difference in the peroxides?
I mean, peroxide's peroxide at this, hydrogen peroxide's hydrogen peroxide. Now, here's something.
Well, there's no color line that's going to be 100% vegan. They're talking about maybe the color is vegan, but you still got to mix it with peroxide.
When the whole thing with hair color, at the end of the day, hair color is a chemical service.
Okay.
Because here's my whole thing. Every time somebody approaches me and they're like, hey, we want you to check out our color line. It's ammonia free. It's this, it's that, it's vegan, it's organic, it's everything, no chemicals, right? So here's the first two questions I ask. Number one, can it cover gray 100%? Are you guaranteeing gray coverage? And or do you guarantee any form of lift? If the answer is yes to either one or both, then there is some chemical component in there. If the answer is no, then you are not a permanent color. You are a deposit only. And a deposit only, either a demi or a semi, or your henna. You are a stain. You're staining the hair. Henna used to be referred to as the only true organic color. The problem with henna nowadays, and again, not to get into geopolitical whatever, but because of contamination in the soil and pollution, you can't even ensure that naturally organic grown henna is safe or organic. It can create a flash burn in the hair if it's cross-contaminated with something else that layers over it, and then heat gets introduced in the form of a flat iron, a blow dryer, or a hooded dryer, or anything else, So I've seen once there was a color line. They came out 100% organic. The problem was it was terribly expensive at the time, and its shelf life was only 2 weeks because you had to refrigerate it.
Wow.
So it was like milk, It was and it was fascinating.
That is fascinating, but I can't imagine that being very practical, because most people's back room of color would not fit in a refrigerator.
Can you? I mean,
the amount of color you need for a pop-in salon isn't going to be able to stock enough refrigerated or order it often enough. And yeah, that's interesting.
And then there was only a handful of shades because it was true organic. It only deposited. It did not lift. It did not, depending on porosity, you get some.
So what other should we hit any more ingredients on color before we move to any other product?
That's the gist of it. I'm trying to keep it very surface level. I'm not trying to get too deep into it. But that's the gist of it. If you have an organic based color line now, take a look at it as an actual alternative. Before, organic color used to say organic and be like, oh, you're only going to get coverage. You can't do anything. A lot of professional color lines nowadays, such as All Nutrient, for example, have a full spectrum, all shades available. It can lift, it can deposit, you can do fantasy, you could do fashion, you could do a lot of fun stuff. And you can do it as an alternative to the more heavier, harsher color lines out there, and it's okay. Full disclosure, I was ignorantly outspoken against healthy and vegan for the longest time. I'm still.
You were against it.
I went out of my way to trash it. Just full disclosure, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, I go out of my way to make fun of it, but I'm all for it in beauty products. I will not eat a salad. My mother-in-law puts one piece of lettuce in front of me, and
so you don't eat. Okay, so I was wondering where you were going with that. You're not a big
right. She'll put one piece of lettuce, like, here's your salad. Do you want some dressing? And I'll purposely drown it in dressing just to prove a point. I don't eat salad. But when it comes to product, I believe in vegan technology. I have become a believer in vegan technology. There is healthier alternatives to do things. I'm all for it.
Well, I can tell you, the world has played a big joke on me. I was just not, I wouldn't have said I liked or disliked or was for it or against it. I didn't really care what other people did. Do what you want to do. But for me personally, if I went to a buffet, whatever you want to call it, I would notice I'd end up back at the table with all meat. I would be trying all the different flavors and styles of cooked, from fried chicken to baked chicken to roast to pork and some seafood, but it would be all meat on my plate, not a vegetable or any sides at all. And then I'm 56 now. So somewhere in my early 40s, it started feeling really heavy in my stomach. Mm-hmm. And I got to the point where I did some kind of weird strain working out or something, and did some damage to some part of my intestine. It was sort of some inflammation. The doctor said, he said, you can't eat any heavy meat for a little while, or maybe no meat for a few weeks. I'm like, what else is there? And so I started eating a lot of vegetables and fruit, and I felt so much better. And my daughter, who was a vegetarian, she's like, see, I told you that. And so I am not 100% believing that you should be all one or the other, because I know you got those carnivores and then you got vegetarians and vegans. And I really think that most people need a healthy balance. Some people probably perform better when they lean way more one way or the other. Their body just might respond differently. But for me, I was kind of like, made fun of vegetarians and vegans also. And then found that I actually feel better and lived better when I was more heavily vegetables and fruit and very little meat. And I was an all meat eater. So it's weird how some things can change in your life.
It's interesting. It is. To me, rice
like it or not,
and spaghetti is my vegetables. Those are my non-meat vegetables.
So what other, we covered quite a few of the ingredients and colors. Any parts ammonia peroxide, the pigment we covered, the cream
and the cream base, those are the main things that make. So when you're talking to a client as a stylist, these are the main things that you can discuss with a client and keep the conversation surface level, where it still makes sense without getting heavy into ingredient names and components and explaining processes and things like that.
Let's go into styling products now.
So with styling products, you've got gels, you've got pastes. Those are the main things that people use a lot. You've got creams, mousses, hairsprays. These are also the main things that people use a lot. Shampoos and conditioners, everybody is using to some degree, to some effect, okay? So with shampoos and conditioners, they would put a lot of synthetic ingredients or performance ingredients, whatever you want to call it, because for heavy moisturization and absorption, you're trying to inject and infuse a lot, okay? One of the biggest hang-ups and the argument back and forth is lanolin, if I'm saying it right.
Yeah, lanolin.
Sheep wool. It's like 400% extra moisture when you have it in your product. It's some insane, like 400 or 500% extra moisture by putting that in your product. It's some insane. It like increases the moisture percentage insanely. Anyways, as it goes, a lot of people are like, oh, but the poor sheep, you're shaving sheep. Well, it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you.
That's a whole different thing too. Those sheep, they were bred to grow way more than they can even live with these days. So you have to shave them, shear them so they can be comfortable. we made them in a way, we bred them in a way that they make too much. They in the wild they would die now. In the wild originally they would not have evolved into a situation where they grow so much wool that they can't stand up anymore and they just roll around, you know. So we bred them into a way. Most of the animals that we have today that we farm, we bred them to get the most out of the things we wanted out of them. That could be right or wrong, but we're there now. We're here now. We have to shear them or they won't survive. You know, I could go on and on.
Yeah, like I said, right. It's a heavy topic. So as it goes, we've done it. We're doing it. We have it. This is the reason why we've done it. It is helping us, you know. But now, then there's the other factor.
So I have a PSA. I got to do right now because I'm going to have to do some lives and videos about this soon. And RJ might want to pull a little short out of this because RJ and I were on the phone with the owner of the manufacturing of onstage hair extensions. And he said, listen, the few times that we get returned hair that is supposed to be tangly or damaged or not in good shape, most of the time it's fine after we shampoo and condition it. A few times, not once. And I said, okay, so what are you saying? He said, so people are using the wrong product. Unfortunately, most people think if they put a serum, an oil, or some of these other deep conditioning treatments, what they're doing is putting these coatings on the hair that's making the hair sticky and stick together more. He said, so what we would like to see you do is use normal. Now, I'm not saying what brand you have to use. He said, but we over here in the factory are using Wella shampoo and conditioner for normal hair. I said, oh, not like the color treated or high moisture or hydrating. He said, no, just for normal. We leave all the cuticle on the hair. Sure, it's chemically processed, but we have and he does say that it's a special treatment that they, patented treatment that they won't talk about. But it's not oil, it's not serum, it's not silicone. And so there's too much silicone in many of these products and it makes the hair sticky. So he said it makes the hair sticky and actually tangle more. So if you will shampoo it and condition it, and he said, and the thing is, when you shampoo it and condition it once, you might have fixed it about 20%, depending on how much they've been using these wrong products and how long. So you might have to, because silicone's a hard thing to shampoo off of hair. It'll take 10, 15 shampoos to get silicone off the hair. And so he said, you may need to shampoo it 3 to 5 times to start to feel and see a difference with a normal, good shampoo to get all of the buildup off to see what the actual hair actually feels like and looks like. When we do that in the factory and then we send it back to you because the hair's fine, just to show you, that's all we've done. So make sure you tell your extension clients, normal shampoo and conditioner from most professional lines is fine. No oil, no serum, no silicone for sure.
Nice.
Yes, sir. So we
nice.
haven't even tested this yet, but that's what he says he's doing to fix the hair. And he wants to pass it on to us.
You want a really good analogy?
And I thought you might have some deeper reasonings for that, being a product expert and chemical expert, because I just heard that and that's all I've got. That's surface level knowledge for me.
So I know you don't cook often, or you don't cook at all, or you just don't cook often.
I cook I make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's what I
You make a fantastic peanut butter and jelly. I've seen you do that.
That's the most I cook. My wife asked me to barbecue one time, and I said, I don't cook. She goes, but man, barbecue. I said, yeah, a lot of men like to barbecue. That's still cooking. I don't cook. I don't understand it. I just mess it up, But anyway, go ahead.
Have you seen spaghetti cook?
Yeah, in hot water.
Spaghetti noodles.
From hard crunchy sticks to soft
noodles. To soft noodles, right? Yeah. So this is going to be the analogy. All right. I used this teaching moment and analogy in a hair extensions class to describe exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Using wrong types of products or too heavy of a products, or relying too much on the standard, I need oil, I need a deep conditioner, I need heavy moisture to soften my hair and to make it more pliable, right?
Okay.
When you take a box of pasta, spaghetti specifically, the long noodles, and you dump them all in a pot, and then you just start boiling them. If you don't break them up periodically and you just leave them clumped together like that, as they start to cook, what'll end up happening is if you wait too long and you go back to it, you'll have this big block that's all stuck together. The outer side of it will be softened, but the inner part of it will, the boiling water would not have penetrated through the outer part of it. So now you have this still a big stick of pasta that is uncooked in the center. Okay. And half of it's cooked, half of it's not. They're all stuck together.
Al dente.
It's al dente. Well, it's beyond. Yeah, it's al dente. So
Iron Day.
Really, and this is what's happening to hair when we focus too much on oils, too much on silicones, too much on deep conditioners, like you was just describing. It collects all the hairs together and gets them to stick together. This is providing us smoothness, sheen, and shine, but that does not always equal detangle, healthy, and clean. Those are two different things. One is for styling, one is for hair health. Hair health requires the breaking up, the surface clarification and removal of all that debris and buildup. So like you're describing, normal shampoos, instead of heavily drenching the hair in moisturizers or in conditioners or in oils and serums, normal shampoos is what's gently breaking up all the buildup and all the debris, just like you're stirring the pot to make sure everything is simmering and boiling at the same time evenly. You got to go in and you got to gently massage and shampoo that hair nicely to remove all that stuff off the hair. So then when you go in and brush it, you can actually, the bristles of the brush is going to go through, rake through the hair and keep everything separated nicely. So that's a good alternative and analogy that I use in a lot of the classes.
So what about products would you say, in the whole vein of this thing today about vegan versus chemical, what are the chemicals or ingredients they're taking out of products and putting the vegan in, and you're like, they shouldn't, or well, I don't know, what is it? Because I know this is
what you have to consider. This is what you're asking.
Yeah.
When it comes to stickiness, you need some kind of wax. You need some kind of not wax. Let me say you need some kind of binder. Some products use waxes. So are there alternative to waxes? Are there healthier versions? Are there more natural versions?
Beeswax
that can bind the hair and still, keep it collected, right? Mm-hmm. Alcohol. There's a lot of alcohol in product because people get confused. When there's alcohol in product, it's so the product dries and evaporates. It's not because we're trying to dry out your hair and dehydrate your hair.
Hey, listen, when I first became an educator for Paul Mitchell years ago, I say became, I was in the training to be, and towards the end, I was like, I don't want to teach about products, but I enjoyed the education, and that was like a good 25 years ago. And I was on track for it. And that was like the very first push of pulling certain chemicals or ingredients out of products or explaining to the public the difference. And I do remember that was the first one we talked about. Fluorocarbons might have been first. Like, we got to get the fluorocarbons out of the sprays. Everything's got to go to pump because we're got a hole in the ozone. And then it was alcohol. And alcohol, they were like, but in a Paul Mitchell product, we use the moisturizing SD40 alcohol. And I don't know what that meant, but just the fact that we said this is the better alcohol, people believed it. I sold it, but I didn't even know what I was talking about or what that meant. Do you know anything about the difference?
It's a very, you do know this. When it comes to hair extensions and hair replacement, you have your isopropyl alcohol, you have your rubbing alcohol. You do have different degrees and percentages of the purity of the alcohol.
Yeah.
So
I just know the
SD40,
higher percentage cuts through the adhesive better. I like to use 99%. It does smell
exactly.
stronger, but it works better. I don't know if it's more drying or what.
Well, it dries faster, it evaporates cleaner, it
Yeah.
doesn't leave any residual left over, and that's really what it comes down to more than anything else. And that's the difference. So the type of alcohol you're using in combination with all the other ingredients in there. Look, when it comes to a beauty product, we're not talking about skincare, we're talking about hair care. You're gonna have a dozen to 3 dozen or more ingredients. Is it necessary? I don't know the answer. I'm not a chemist, but I've been doing this long enough to realize, yeah, you need a whole bunch of crap in there, whether it's good or bad, or whether you agree or don't agree. You need a lot of stuff in there because we are doing a lot of stuff to the hair.
Well, let me tell you, the first two experiences I had that blew my mind with, which was a complete 180, just flipped me around on chemical experiences. And it was one with bleach and one with alcohol. And so one was after a brain surgery. A lady comes in, a lot of blood, dried up blood in her hair. And she's like, I don't want to cut this hair out, but nothing's working. How do I get it out? And a nurse friend of mine said, alcohol is the best detangler for blood in the hair. This was way before we wore gloves and thought about not touching somebody else's blood, which is crazy me talking about it right now. But I thought, wait, alcohol is very drying. That's my thought of alcohol. And we have dried blood. How is drying gonna? Well, it's not dry when it's in liquid form. And it broke down the blood so fast that the blood just rinsed right out the hair and it detangled the hair. And I thought, well, that's crazy. It seemed backwards from what I thought. It worked really well on blood. I don't know what other things it might work good on, but other things that are sticky, it will break down the stickiness of it and help detangle short term. Maybe it dries the hair out also, but I just know it definitely helps you detangle in a real quick. You want to say something about this?
Well, so blood is majority of it is oxygen, and alcohol is a dehydrant. So if you're drying out the oxygen, then you could just break it down. And this is the whole thing. The molecular structure of ingredients and products, right? Smaller is always going to be attracted to larger. The larger is always going to pull the smaller. So right now, I'm learning head spa treatments, and it's fascinating to me, and it's a lot of fun too. We're going in with elixirs and oils, and we're pre-basing the hair with that, and that's helping pull to the surface all the smaller molecules and all the smaller buildups and debris into the hair that have embedded themselves in. So it's helping pull that to the surface, and then we're going in and scrubbing and exfoliating and rinsing it out and everything else. So it's interesting, like peanut butter. You put ice on peanut butter and it freezes it up and helps break it down. There's so many ways. There's so many things that interact with each other.
Well, bleach.
And science is a lot of fun.
Bleach was the other one time when we couldn't get a hair system detangled. Somebody said, I know you don't want to change the color of it much, but a cap full of bleach and a small tub of water, dip that whole. You ever notice when you touch bleach water, it feels kind of slimy and slippery? Yeah, I don't know what the chemical makeup of it is, but it's very slippery. And so the tangles came out really fast. And of course, we tried to rinse it out, shampoo and condition as quick as we could to not take the negative side of changing the color of the hair, but we were going to have to tone the hair anyway. So the speed of not damaging the hair to get the tangles out, because it was so tangled, it was almost like dreadlocks. The bleach just softened and loosened everything, and it detangled so fast and easy. So those were two of like the very weird backwards things for me.
I mean, that's an awesome tip, because think about that. Hair is like a fabric. We talk about that all the time. Mm-hmm. You're sitting, I am as well, on a mesh chair. Mm-hmm. And they always say to get a stain out of a mesh chair or to clean a mesh chair, use a damp or wet rag. And what's happening is the water is getting in there and it's softening up the material, and it's allowing the debris to pull to the surface. Same thing in detangles. The bleach in the water is creating that slimy base. What is it? Is it a solution or a I forget what the science word for it is in the moment. I'm on the spot, but it's creating a solution, and it's allowing the fabric to soften and pull apart and trying to rise to the surface. So if the hair is all tangled up and knotted into each other, it's undoing itself because of that slip. It's really, really fun. It's really fun. Same
So
thing
where
with
else?
that you mentioned earlier. The aerosol in the hairspray, the VOC content, that's why a lot of people are alternatively moving to the spritz sprays to try to get away from the aerosols. Those are other alternatives.
Well, they came back with health, I guess an aerosol that is not ozone damaging, I imagine, because we got back to sprays.
Here's the problem with aerosol. I understand the government is trying to lower the VOC content percentage down to 45%. I think currently right now it's down to like 50, 60%. Okay. Aerosol used to be 70, 80%. I think Aquanet is grandfathered in at 80 or 90 or something. You could drywall. Aquanet's got a high percentage, which is what makes it freaking amazing. Here is the problem. Here is the challenge.
Yep.
The higher the percentage of VOC in an aerosol spray, the stickier, the harder the hold is, the better the hold is. The lower the percentage in an aerosol spray, the more wet that spray is. And the more wet a spray is, how much better is it really drying? How much better is it really holding?
It takes longer to dry, no doubt, because I know Paul Mitchell's Freeze and Shine back in the day is a pump, because we were getting rid of all the aerosols or whatever you call it, and we'd spray it on there. It was wet, but then it would dry really hard.
In the spritz ones, yeah. The spritz freezes, those work exceptionally well.
So what else? What other part of our hair world does it matter? Did we miss anything? We talked about color and products. Anything?
Keratin treatments, keratin smoothing treatments. Okay. A lot of people are trying to avoid relaxers. Perms, people are still doing perms, but a lot of people are trying to avoid straightening and relaxers.
Well, there's a big push in the Black community. I've talked to a couple of Black stylists over the years at some hair shows, and even on social media, there'll be the stylist or the salon owner that says, I'm an all natural stylist, which means her clients or his clients are going to keep pretty curly hair unless it's just being straightened with a tool, right? No chemicals, because that's what they're trying to do. Go all natural, chemical free, just grow your hair out the way God made you. And so you're saying what about these relaxers and chemicals? They're okay? Or there's better and worse?
Within reason and moderation. Everything is within reason and moderation. Okay. I feel bad in a way for the Black community because it's hard for them. The frequency of their visits to the salon far outweighs the frequency compared to any other nationality.
Yeah, that's right.
Any other, or ethnicity, I should say properly.
Right.
Any other ethnicity. They are the most frequently salon visiting, so they are exposed to chemicals harshly and profusely, almost to the same degree as us as the stylists are. Okay. And what do you do? Because if you need to do it, or if you want, I don't know if you need, but if you want to do it, what is your choices?
Yeah.
Right. And then there comes the problem. It's all the frequency of visit, and it's the frequency of us performing those services.
But is there a difference in you were talking about keratin and relaxers? Is there a better and a worse product to use?
Look, this is my opinion. I'm probably gonna, I don't know. I'm not gonna try to start anything with anybody. If you want your hair straightened, just get a relaxer, man. Don't tell me, the lie and the no lie, and then just go get.
You don't think that there's a healthier relaxer necessarily? I know that some don't smell as bad, but then I would hear, it doesn't work as good. So I don't have used enough relaxers to have a strong opinion about it.
It's going to permanently straighten your freaking hair. How often do you need to get that done? You need to get the outgrowth done. Get it done every 6 months. I don't know what to tell you, you know.
Right.
But a keratin smoothing, like the problem is everybody's trying to replace straightening hair and from relaxing with keratin smoothing. And the formaldehyde doesn't do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Formaldehyde freezes the hair in place, but eventually formaldehyde breaks down. And it's all about compounding and the buildup. If you keep doing it and keep layering it in and layering it in and layering it in, yeah, okay, then you'll have that cumulative buildup effect. Then you'll have the straight hair eventually after the 4th or 5th visit, you know? But this idea of you need such a high percentage, 9%, 10, 12, 13, 14%. This is why people were having the headaches and the nosebleeds and the respiratory failures and you know, all that stuff. And especially if you have a pre-existing medical condition, forget about it. All right.
This is the last thing I want to talk about today, because it was a big confusing thing for me. I watched these keratin treatments come on the scene, and I think they originally were called the Japanese straightener. And
no, that permanent straightening was different.
Well, it was $1,200-$1,300 in most salons, and so it was going to be a high-end service. We could all get rich doing them. It didn't last long though, and then the biggest one that what I got confused with, and I've asked you on here before, and I don't think I still completely understand, was we kind of slowly just morphed into these keratin treatments, and it almost seems like the separation that I'm always trying to do in my head is, I think we're talking about some sort of deep conditioning treatment and some sort of straightening treatment. And some people are kind of mixing the words together. And so I don't think a lot of people know, like a keratin treatment. Are we talking about making your hair feel and look healthier in the wave that it already is? Or are we talking about straightening your hair a little bit? I think that gets really confusing from the customer's perspective. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's the progression of what happened. So just to real quick.
Is there a difference in the two services now?
Yeah.
And what would they be called? The other big one is Brazilian blowout, right? That's the most famous.
That's a brand.
I know.
That's a brand.
I know you hate to put that name out there, but it is a most well-recognized name worldwide as far as, but what does it do? Is it a straightener or is it a conditioning treatment?
Okay. Straightening is just that, exactly what it means. Your hair is straight. Okay. Pay attention to the language.
Okay.
A straightening service straightens your hair. That is it. There's no coming back from that until it grows out and it completely gets cut out of your hair. There is no reverting and coming back from that. A smoothing treatment will reduce the curl or the wave in your hair by a certain percentage. That certain percentage depends on how much your starting percentage is. If you've got curly, kinky hair, like Vinci or like Carmelina, and you reduce that curl by 90%.
90? You can do that much?
Let's just say up to 90%, because that's the strongest stuff out there, okay? Even if you reduce that curl up to 90%, Vinci and Carmelina's hair is still going to be wavy because the curl is so tight to begin with.
That's right. So even a Japanese straightener wouldn't make
No. The Japanese straightening was Japanese straightening. And it's sad that went away because it was so misunderstood. Hairdressers messed that up. The product did not mess up. Hairdressers completely screwed the pooch on that one.
Okay.
And it's very unfortunate because that stuff was amazing. So smoothing treatments will reduce curl up to a certain percentage, and there's different varying degrees of it and whatever. Okay. Conditioning treatments reinforce and strengthen the hair without reducing curl. They just strengthen and reinforce the hair. Now, fast forward to where we're at in today's world of science.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of brands out there that are infusing and creating a hybrid service that have a smoothing component, a curl reducing smoothing and component combined with a conditioning component. So you are getting the best of both worlds to a certain effect. Okay. And there is a healthy version of it. There's a chemical version of it. The chemical version is going to reduce more curl. If that's what you're trying to do,
The chemical version.
the chemical version
Get rid of more curl. Okay.
is going to reduce more curl, and it's going to last longer in the hair. You're not going to have to come in as frequently. The healthier version is not going to reduce as much curl. It's going to give you the same level of conditioning. It's just not going to reduce as much curl, but you're going to have to come in more frequently. The idea of I only need to do this twice a year, every 6 months, is obnoxious. They're only designed to last 3 to 4 months. You should be getting them seasonally. Everybody wants to get them in the spring and the summer because of humidity. But you need to do it in the fall and the winter when there is no humidity. That's when your hair is dry. That's when you need moisture more than ever, conditioning more than ever. Set yourself up for success. Get yourself healthy and strong now. So in the spring and the summer, when the humidity comes, that's when you will truly be resistant, because you will have created a nice baseline of moisture in your hair, conditioning in your hair, you know?
So are there straightening treatments anymore that aren't just relaxers? Similar. So what is a Brazilian blowout? Is it a hybrid?
Is a keratin smoothing treatment. It is a hybrid. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not advertising for them, but you know, in all fairness, they do have different degrees and formulas. Some are formaldehyde free, some are formaldehyde based. You know, some condition and reinforce and strengthen.
I just remember traveling the country teaching hair extension classes when the vent hoods had to be installed over the station that provided the treatment before they had to pull the formaldehyde out the product. Then it didn't work as good. And then there was a big argument. Does it work at all? And I was always confused. Is it a straightening treatment, or is it, because I don't think most hairdressers know. I think a lot of the salesmen are lying like, oh yeah, it's going to get rid of the curl, or at least most of it.
The simplicity of it. If you have formaldehyde in your product, is it less than 4%? 6% max. 6% max.
Are you telling me that's healthy? That's okay.
It's safe as it's going to be.
Okay.
With ventilation and everything else.
And then you can straighten hair with that.
You can reduce curl. You can't straighten curl. Reduce curl.
So what was the Japanese straightening? What chemical or what was it that straightened hair back then?
It's been so many years. It's been almost 25 something years now. I don't remember. But it was an alternative to the sodium.
Something about if you don't heat it. If you don't heat what?
If you don't heat a keratin smoothing treatment, the problem with that is it won't last as long and it won't embed itself onto the hair properly. So you'll only get maybe 30% of the effect of the treatment.
So you have to heat it to make it work.
You really do. You really do. The whole thing with that one, with the curl reduction and not activating the formaldehyde and all that, is more. That's why in-person classes is so important. Showing you how to take larger sections or alternative types of sections, alternative processing times, alternative application techniques and approaches. This is how you control and manipulate the formaldehyde in the safest way possible. This is why class is important.
So I don't know what we don't have question marks or full questions here, but RJ's typing, if you don't heat it, formaldehyde. I don't know what he's saying. That's good.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why class is so important. With the way you apply it, with the way you manipulate it, with the way you process it, with the way you section the hair, with the amount of heat, the way you do it, and how you do the heat.
Are you saying if you don't heat it, it's not dangerous, or you have to heat it?
It still can be dangerous. It's just not going to be as effective onto the hair. And this is why some people choose not to heat it up and just put it on and let it sit and then rinse it out and pray for the best.
So then when you go to heat it, that's when ventilation becomes more important.
Anything heat is always going to vaporize any product. And I don't care what encapsulated molecule, blah, 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 BS. It's
even water. We're getting rid of water from hair with heat. And so where does the water go? It's going in.
It vaporizes. It steams and it's airborne, and that's it. And you're breathing that in.
And hopefully that is a safe thing to breathe. You're basically creating humidity.
With water?
If it's solid water, right. But even then.
Okay, so let me throw a curveball at you. Is it tap water that you're vaporizing? Because
that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. We're starting off with what is presumably the healthiest thing to vaporizing breathe. But then even in water, what products did the person have in their hair that's mixed with the water that we didn't even put in there? And they came from home and they have some buildup or residue from their well water, not well water, city water, bleached water, ionized water, iron in the water. Right. So even water vaporized and breathed has a level of potential not so healthy.
So to wrap it up, balance it out, be smart, ask questions,
This
make
is the
decisions.
first time that you're ending it. I'm usually the one.
We're up on the hour. I gotta go.
Me too.
Well, it's such a complicated topic.
Yeah.
And there's so many pros and cons to both of them. It's not that one is better than the other, one's worse than the other.
Not black or white.
It's not. That's the problem. And to say you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. You need them both. And there's a hybrid approach somewhere in there. You just got to ask questions, be smart about it, and make the right decisions. And you got to pay attention to your body's pH and your body's chemistry to see which one fits for you. And as a stylist, go take classes and get yourself educated. Okay. Subscribe to the Profitable Stylist so you can learn something by listening to us.
Like and comment. Come on, click a like. Help us out. Help us out. Like and comment if you made it this far. Thank you. Goodbye, guys.
Go out there, stay profitable, make a difference. We'll catch you next week.